Have you ever felt like love was a performance? Like every smile, every word, every quiet breath around your mother had to be carefully measured, or something inside her would shift? That fear, that confusion, that constant tension might have a name. It's possible you grew up with a narcissistic mother. Children of maternal narcissism grow up inside of a house that looks normal from the outside, but inside, love becomes a currency. Emotions turn into traps, and approval is the only way to survive. Today, we're uncovering the quiet truth beneath that upbringing, the subtle signs that you may have missed, how they shape the person you became, and what it truly means to break free. Because sometimes the hardest part of healing isn't escaping the control, it's finally recognizing that it was control at all. It often starts small, with conditional love. Love that arrives only when you meet expectations, when your grades, appearance, or behavior make her look good. The moment you slip, affection disappears. That's how you learn that love is earned, not given. You start scanning for cues, rehearsing smiles, apologizing for things you didn't do. Psychologists call it conditional positive regard, when a parent's affection depends on performance, and over time, it replaces your real self with a version built for approval. That's not love, that's management. When affection feels like a test, you weren't being raised, you were being trained. But what happens when even the performance stops working? You could be crying right in front of her, and she'd look right through you. That's emotional neglect, the quietest, most invisible wound of all. Every tear becomes an inconvenience, every feeling a flaw. Don't be so sensitive. You're overreacting. Those words teach you to silence yourself, to numb, not to feel. And as an adult, that silence becomes second nature. You question your emotions, you doubt comfort, you brace for rejection, even when no one's rejecting you. Science now shows that chronic invalidation rewires the stress system. It teaches your body to fear peace. So, if calm feels uncomfortable, it's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system learned that safety never lasts. And then, something even more subtle happens. She stops being the parent and turns you into one. When she cried, you comforted her. When she raged, you calmed her. When she broke down, you fixed it. That's parentification, the reversal of emotional roles, and it makes you grow up too soon, thinking love means caretaking. You learned to anticipate needs that weren't yours. You became the therapist, the peacemaker, the emotional anchor. And now, as an adult, you still feel responsible for everyone else's pain. Research shows that children forced into this role develop deep self-worth confusion. They believe love must be earned through usefulness. So, if giving feels natural but receiving feels wrong, that's not kindness, that's conditioning. Eventually, your light starts to threaten hers. When you succeed, she smiles until your success outshines her own. Then, the warmth vanishes. This is maternal competition, when your achievements become her insecurities. She downplays, mocks, or even sabotages what should be your proudest moments. Why? Because in her world, only one person is allowed to shine. Her identity feeds on hierarchy, and to stay above, she must keep you small. If you've ever felt guilt in your own success, that's not humility, that's survival learned in the shadow of narcissistic grandiosity. Soon, the ground beneath you begins to blur. Arguments stop being about truth, they become battles for dominance. Every disagreement ends the same. You're too sensitive, you remember it wrong. You're the problem. That's gaslighting, when reality itself is rewritten until you doubt your own mind. Her goal isn't resolution, it's control. If she can distort your perception, she controls your loyalty, and slowly you stop trusting yourself. You question memories, emotions, even your own sanity. But let this sink in. If you grew up apologizing for your own pain, that wasn't love. That was power, disguised as morality. You begin to live on alert. One day she's kind, the next she's cold. You never know which version you'll get. That inconsistency becomes addictive. You start craving her approval, hoping each good moment means the bad ones are over. That's how she keeps you hooked. Unpredictability is the tool. Control is the reward. You read her mood like a weather report. You learn to tiptoe, anticipate, and overthink. And even now, you might mistake chaos for love, because in your world, stability never felt safe. If peace makes you uneasy, it's because your nervous system doesn't trust stillness. So you adapt. You chase perfection, grades, appearance, success, trying to earn the approval you never got. But no amount of success ever seems to satisfy. That's the narcissistic legacy. Her voice becomes your inner critic. You replay mistakes, you downplay wins, you confuse achievement with worth. Psychologists link this to perfectionism, anxiety, and chronic shame, the invisible aftermath of impossible standards. If good enough feels like failure, it's not ambition talking, it's her voice, still echoing in your mind. And then comes the hardest truth of all. When love is conditional, trust becomes dangerous. You either build walls too high for anyone to climb, or cling too tightly, terrified they'll leave. That's the aftershock of being raised by a narcissistic mother. Your nervous system expects betrayal. Even kindness feels suspicious. You crave intimacy, but don't believe it's real. You want safety, but can't relax inside it. But healing starts here, when you stop trying to earn love and start learning to receive it. The hardest part isn't forgiving her. It's believing that you were never the problem. You grew up believing that love had to be earned, that silence means safety, that pleasing others equals survival. But those lessons were lies, and the moment you see them for what they are, they lose their power, because you were never unworthy. You were just raised by someone who couldn't love without control. And breaking that pattern isn't rebellion, it's freedom.